Here we go. Coach Herm Edwards, he joins us every Monday at 5:15. Thanks to McLean Food Service. It's Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. Your home for New York sports. And Coach, Victor Cruz, done for the year, got hurt last night in the third quarter. When you have a star player like Victor Cruz, the second highest paid on the team, how does that affect your franchise?
Well, it affects you anytime you lose a starting player. I mean, there's a reason these guys are starters in the fact that they're unique as far as their talent. They've proven that through the course of a season, they can make big plays for you, whether they're on the offensive or defensive side of the football. So it hurts in the sense that a lot of games left in the season, as you know. It really becomes a 10-game season for everybody, and if you have 3 or 4 wins, you're still in the hunt maybe to win a division or get in the playoffs. If you don't have as many of that as far as the win columns, it'll be very difficult to get in.
But what do they do at that position, Coach? I mean, because, you have Jarrell Jernigan done for the year. You have a kid they saw in training camp. He's also on season-ending IR. I mean, they're kind of stuck. I mean, could this be a point in the season where the Giants say, you know what, it just wasn't meant to be this year?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know how you can even think something like that. I would hope no player, no coach, or no fan would think that. They've got 3 wins. I mean, why would they be stuck? I mean that's ridiculous. I mean, you have 3 wins, and when you look at the schedule, you go, okay, well, what does it take for us to get 10? You have 10 games left. You figure you got to win, obviously, 7 out of 10. You got a playoff spot. I coached a team. We were 2-5. We didn't say, well, it's over. We're going to quit. Season's done. You can't play anymore. I mean, you don't think like that as an athlete or as a coach. So I think you're the Giants. You retool, and you'll have someone else play out there, and you'll continue to play.
So, Coach, you go into a rivalry game. Looks like you're matched up pretty well. Some people think you're going to win, and you just lose on every phase of the ball, plus you lose your star receiver. As a coach, how do you get your team back on track and put this game behind you and get ready for next week?
Well, I think you see it every week. The Oakland Raiders made a change in coach. Basically fired their coach after London. They didn't play real well. And they play against the San Diego Charger team and have a chance to beat them. The Chicago Bears, another team that got throttled last week. They found a way to beat Atlanta in Atlanta. So I just think when you play football, you always understand that it's 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. It's not who you play, it's how you play the day you play. And if you have one of those bad ones, you got to erase it, especially now with a 10-game season being left. And you got some wins. You continue to play. Look at the Titans. They had a big lead last week, 20-something points, and lost. So they win this week against the Jaguars. So I think it's very important that every week you prepare to try to beat that opponent, and that's all that really matters.
He's Coach Herm Edwards, brought to you by McLean Food Service every Monday at 5:15. We replay it at 6:30. It's Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. And, Coach, last night we saw a Giants offense that the last 3 or 4 or 5 games, they've been progressing every year or every game. And last night it just took a huge step backwards. Why was the offensive line so bad last night for the Giants?
They couldn't protect him, and I think the Eagles did some things inside to rush him, and they never adjusted to it. And then they got behind, and when you get behind like that in a football game, you become one-handed, and the defense dictated the turns where they had to pass and try to catch up, and that's never good. The Giants have been pretty balanced all year, and games happen like that. You just see it. I mean, it happened to Tom Brady a couple weeks ago. When Kansas City beat them up in Arrowhead, and everyone thought New England was dead, and New England had no offense, and they were going to go away now. It was a new era. Well, they keep winning. They won yesterday in Buffalo, a tough place, 37-22.
Coach, we heard a lot of chatter come out of the Giants this week, but they lost the toughness battle, especially the defensive line. It took forever. I don't think they made adjustments to get pressure on Foles until the second half. Was this just a coaching mismatch?
I don't know that. I just think that they went in with a certain plan, and obviously they had to adjust, and eventually they started adjusting and played a little bit better in the second half. But this game got out of whack early, and that's what happens in games like this. When it gets away from you early, it becomes very difficult. The other team steals momentum, and then when you fail to get points, that even makes it worse. So they had some opportunities, the Giants' offense, to get on the board, weren't able to do that, and then it looked like to me the energy out of the team just kind of dissipated.
Herm Edwards, brought to you by McLean Food Service on 104.5 The Team.
Coach, we were joking around and having some fun with this all last week with the war of words with the Giants and Eagles. You know, it got us wondering, who is the best, in your mind, the most fun rivalry in the NFL right now?
Oh, boy. You know, rivalries have changed so much now because of the league is kind of, you know, teams have left divisions. But, you know, when you think about rivalries, I think if you're the fan base of certain teams, you're excited. Like obviously in the NFC East, it used to be, you know, the Giants, obviously, and the Eagles, and then some would say that maybe the Eagles and the Cowboys were a big rivalry, but we always felt the Giants were probably the one, in the fact that they were right up the road, along with Washington. They were right down the road. We used to catch buses going there, so it was kind of unique. But these divisions have changed, and I think also this, you lose sight of this, the players don't really understand the rivalry games anymore because of free agency. Most players don't stay on that one team anymore. You know, and if you have a career, you're probably going to play maybe for two teams, sometimes three, according to what your position is. So that kind of knocks it away as well. But fans understand rivalries because they stay loyal to their team.
Herm Edwards on 104.5 The Team. And, Coach, when you look at the Jets losing 31-17 to the Broncos yesterday at MetLife Stadium, can you talk about the place in his career that Geno Smith is right now, in a place where this team is sinking, but he still has a chance to really prove and solidify himself, doesn't he? If you're the coach, what are you telling Geno Smith this week and at this point in the season and in his career?
Play like he did yesterday, and we'll be in every football game, and that's the critical part. I think he played much better than he did in San Diego. The whole team played much better at home against a very good football team in Denver Broncos, and really had a chance to tie it up there at the end. Just couldn't quite get it done, but they hung around. Their defense kept them in the game. Offensively, they made enough plays where they put some points on the board. And that's what you saw. You know, what you saw yesterday is I think, the vision that probably Rex had for this football team. That they're not going to be a high-scoring football team, but their defense will dictate the terms, get after the quarterback. Their problem right now in defense is they hadn't taken the ball away to give their offense a short field. But I thought yesterday Geno, for the most part, played well. Some receivers dropped some balls on him in critical situations, but if they can continue to play that way, they can find themselves winning some football games.
Coach, I'm watching it, and I felt like Geno kind of held the ball too long, and the offensive line didn't protect him enough. Is that just me overanalyzing at this point?
No, I think sometimes we can all overanalyze because we don't play the quarterback position. We sit there in the comfort of our living room or wherever we watch the game at, and we're watching 5 games at a time with our remote control, and everything seems we know what to do and know what to say. But you know, it's a difficult position to play. There's a lot that goes into it. Geno is still on the learning curve, trying to learn the offense. You know, it takes these guys probably, in my opinion, quarterbacks, for the most part, young ones, takes them about 3,000 snaps. So that's about 3 years when you really break it down. Now, he's not Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's a different cat, but for most of these guys, it takes them a while to learn the offense, to understand the process of information, where the ball should go.
See, Coach, and then you have, Rex Ryan, who's under pressure to win now. This is kind of a conflict of interest, isn't it, where you have a quarterback who needs time to develop, and you have a head coach who really doesn't have that much time to give him, or he'll be gone.
Well, you don't worry about that as a coach. I think what you do is, when you're the head coach, you do what's for the best interest of the players and the organization. You never fear your job as a coach. I mean, that's the last thing you could ever do. You go in there and you try to do the best you can. And Rex has built a fabulous defense, especially up front. They've been a little bit wounded now because of all the secondary guys that have been hurt. That's hurt them some. So I think if you're Rex, you continue to ask these guys and motivate them to play well. And they played well yesterday. They played good enough to almost win a football game. So if they can continue to play that way, they'll get some wins here.
I guess for me it was weird because they were so out of character. The Broncos were able to run for 130 yards in a defense that just takes pride in keeping guys under 100. How does Rex go and make this look like a victory to the team, like even a moral one?
Well, he can't make it look like a moral victory. It's not a victory; it's a loss. But I think at the effort that they played at after getting really beat up the prior week in San Diego, so now all of a sudden they found their way again, and now they got a short week. They play a division opponent in New England, which is always one of those type games. They have to go up there. New England now is all of a sudden has found their way on offense. Defensively, they played pretty well yesterday as well. When you talk about their defense, took the ball away. So I think what makes it unique now is the division rivalry. And all of a sudden you go up and beat New England, things look a lot brighter. You know, New England has 4 wins, Buffalo has 3. Obviously, Miami has 2. So if you can win a game next week and you're 2-5, hey, things look a lot better.
Herm Edwards brought to you by McLean Food Service, live at 5:15. We replay it back, the best of Herm, at 6:30. Coach, Thursday night football games, as you mentioned, Jets playing Patriots this week. You like Thursday night football games? You a fan of those?
I don't know if I'm a fan of them. I know what it takes to prepare for one of those things. It's very difficult for coaches and players, especially if you have an older team. Those guys don't recover as fast. In my opinion, I wish they would look at maybe another scenario is not allow that team to have to play on Sunday and then go Thursday. In other words, just make the buy into that Thursday game. You would not play Sunday. You'd play Thursday. Then the following Sunday you wouldn't play again and then catch back up. I think that would help everyone. It would help, obviously, the players. It would help the coaches. Maybe it would make the games more competitive. But I say that, but then our last Thursday night was pretty competitive game.
Coach, when you look at Kyle Orton and the Buffalo Bills, I was looking at this guy's record this morning. He has played 10 years in the NFL. He has never started in a postseason game. The one time in 2005, they pulled him for Rex Grossman. Is it fair for the Bills to think that Kyle Orton could be the guy that gets them to the postseason? It would be the first time in his career.
Well, I don't know if Kyle Orton has to do it if the team has to do it, really. I don't. This is not a quarterback-driven team right now. This is a team driven by their defense, and they would like to run the football. I mean, that's how they're built. And so Kyle Orton, he kind of orchestrates the offense. They're not putting this all on Kyle Orton, but I think he gives them the best chance to win at this point. E.J. Manuel is still trying to learn the trade. Kyle Orton, as you said, has a lot of reps. He's played in a lot of games, played in some playoff games, so he has a bunch of experience. And if he can play well down the stretch for them, as he showed the week prior, they got a chance to win some games. I mean, they're not out of it by any stretch of imagination. When you look at their record right now, I mean, that's the critical part. I mean, you got to look at your record and say, hey, look, we got 3 wins. Okay, we played 6 games. Can we win 7 out of the next 10? Or can we win 6 out of the next 10? If you get 9-7 or 10-6, you got to feel like you got a chance to get in the playoffs.
Coach, Dallas goes into Seattle, wins the game. What does a victory like that mean to you?
Well, I think it solidifies the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone was questioning during the soft schedule. Now they're going on the road to play a team that doesn't lose a whole lot in Seattle, and they were able to run the football, and that's critical. You ran the football on a pretty good defense, especially at home. They got behind early, but kept it within a score or so, and then found their way back. Made the necessary plays down the stretch. Tony Romo makes a great throw there on the boundary. Kid makes a great catch on the third down in a long situation, and then they were able to defensively to take the ball away as Seattle was trying to close in again. But that's a big win for Dallas. I mean, they sit 5-1, tied with Philadelphia Eagles 5-1, and their defense, as bad as people anticipated those guys playing, they're not giving up a lot of points. They've only given up 126 points, scoring about 165, and they're the number 1 team running the football.
Coach, when you look at the Cowboys, what is the one aspect? What is the one thing out of Dallas where you say this has gotten them to this point?
Oh, the run game. There's no doubt. I mean, they're number 1 in the league. I mean, the last time these guys made the playoffs was, I think, 2007, and they were like 5th or 6th running the football. Well, they've gone back to that mode, and DeMarco Murray is, 6 games, I guess, now, over 100 yards. I mean, this guy's set to break all kind of records. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and I think they got to do a good job of managing him because if he continues to carry it 20, 30 times a game, he's going to get 400 carries, and that's not feasible for him, for any running back. But I think they'll find a way to get dual running backs so he can take a little blow. But they're running the ball very well. Those offensive linemen, the 4 guys they drafted in the first round, Fredericks and Smith, those guys are doing an excellent job, boy, at blocking, and they're running the football. And Tony Romo is really enjoying that because now all of a sudden the play action pass is open. There's a lot of big plays in the middle of the field all of a sudden due to the fact they're running the football.
He's Coach Herm Edwards, brought to you by McLean Food Service on 104.5 The Team in Levack. We love McLean Food Service because here in the Capital Region, you and I, who have friends who are drivers, who have that Class A driver's license, and they are looking for a good gig, we tell all of our buddies, you got to check out McLean Food Service.
Right. It's a growing company. It's a cash business. They've invested so well that they don't have debt. So you're working for people who get money. You're going to work, but you're going to make some cash.
All new tractors, average first-year pay of over $60,000. Go to McLeanCo.com, McLean Food Service, your home for Class A delivery drivers. And, Coach, I know you're traveling right now. You're at the airport. Thanks for fitting us in today, and we will talk to you once again Monday at 5:15. Safe travels to you, Coach.
Thank you, my friends.